All right, we are back and live again with number two of the women behind the men behind the mic with my beautiful wife, Ashley. You want to say hi?
Hi.
That's exactly what my mom did. I said, "Do you want to say hi?" And she went, "Hi."
Hi.
So this woman right here, mom had to be there. You heard mom and I talk, and she talked a lot about not giving up and why it was so hard for her to have the tough love situation and what the things that were difficult for her seeing what I went through. This one, she like chose to be there. Mom had to be there because I'm her kid, but you didn't have to be there.
Oh,
So she was there because she wanted to be.
young and naive.
Idiot. Idiot. So we're going to talk about us today because it's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And you are not my mother, but
Without
you
you, I wouldn't have
you wouldn't
our kids.
be a mother if it wasn't for us. Well, you might be, possibly. I don't know. But I made you a mom.
Did make me a mom.
Mm. You want to talk about it? Not like
Yeah.
yeah.
The mom part.
Ugh. So as our Mother's Day special, it's the women behind the men behind the mic. So this is one of the women behind the men behind the mic. Should we put the girls on too? The little women behind the
Maybe
men
at
behind the
the
mic.
end.
Maybe
Because we get them
maybe
in here right now, they're never going to leave.
they won't
So
leave.
this will be
So
just of them.
why don't you tell everyone how we met?
We met.
Matt was asking this question. He wanted to know, and I wouldn't tell the story without you. So
We met at our job at Applebee's in Hastings, right?
hmm
Yep. And
I haven't worked at any other Applebee's.
oh
Have you?
well, it just opened and we both started working there at the same time. And you were interested, you were a little flirty, which come to figure out that's just how you were. But I wasn't interested in that. And then how long
I don't know how
after?
long after it was. I wasn't
Like
in jail anymore.
months.
When I worked at Applebee's, when we did like the training and stuff when we first started there, I was actually on work release from Adams County Jail.
I didn't
Yeah, I
have
was
no
I was in
idea.
jail. I
Huh.
was on work release. Bobby Schilling picked me up every day for work and
And
drove me
then
to
you just
Applebee's.
stopped working there. You
I
just
just
like
stopped.
stopped being there.
Yeah. So.
But and then I don't know. I'd say it was quite a few months later.
hmm
We saw each other at Walmart, and neither of us talked to each other. And you waited till you left to message me on Facebook and say, "Hey, saw you at Walmart today."
I saw you at
So
Walmart. That was my big sweep in there.
you
My
had
pickup line was, "Hey girl, saw you at Walmart earlier."
yeah, you had all the guts to come up and talk to me.
You're
I don't,
intimidating.
I don't even look intimidating.
No, it's your face.
Like the
You just
RBF,
look mean,
that's my face.
and you are mean,
A little bit.
horrible. This is terrible. So I messaged you. We started talking, and then what?
I blacked out for the rest of it. I don't remember anything. Um, I don't know. We started hanging out, did the normal party stuff.
I was a big
But
partier at the time.
I wasn't ever.
Yep, I was. I had
So
the house that everybody partied at. I threw all the parties. We had a DJ, Ruger.
who's still out there
Shout out
doing
Ruger.
it?
He's doing it. He's really good now. I mean, we should get him on here. That would be cool. Ruger's awesome. But yeah, he used to DJ. I you walked in, it was a living room, and then there was my huge bedroom in the front of the house, and then there was like a smaller room and a laundry room. Yeah, and the laundry room was like a walk-through laundry room. It was a pretty good sized laundry room. but you could like walk through into the bathroom. But we'd set up in the living area or the living room. We'd set up Ruger's equipment in the laundry room, and then like out like strobe light. I mean lights, everything. We had it all,
Pretty
and Ruger would just tear it up from the
dope house
laundry room.
party.
Oh, we had fun. I remember I had that little flash strobe light thing that I
Mhm.
would turn on, and that people would have fun.
Anyways,
So
went to a lot of parties, hung out. He was very he's very word confident and arrogant when we first met. Like totally different than you are now, but
douchey, you can say it.
yeah, you were douchey,
Douchey.
but you for some reason with me weren't douchey at all, and you I don't know, I made you nervous or something because first time you tried to hold my hand, just hold my hand, and you were
Like
just
a
like, "Oh, maybe,
right.
maybe." Then our first kiss was the worst. It's cute, but he's just so nervous and scared.
She's lying. These are
No, I'm not.
fabricated stories.
Oh.
Scared. Scared.
Yeah, that's kinda how it started. That was I mean, with a lot of detail left out of there, but met at Applebee's.
I know one of the things that you thought was super sweet was when I shut down a raging party for you.
Yep. I have a lot of health problems, and I wasn't feeling good, and I was just kinda over it, and he's like,
Didn't you
"Everybody
tell me
out."
you were gonna leave
"Oh,
or
yeah.
something? You were like, I'm gonna
I'm
take
gonna
off. I'm not
go,
feeling
I'm"
so good. My head hurts or something. And I was like, you want me to make everybody leave?
like,
And no, you
"No."
don't have to do that. And I was like,
Like,
nope.
"Everybody
Wrap
out."
it up, folks.
Mhm, mhm.
Everybody out.
Yep.
Kicked everybody out. There
That
was
was
probably what, 50, 40, 50 people.
yeah.
It was a big old party, and
I didn't want you to stop
everybody
having
go.
fun, I didn't wanna be there anymore, and I wanted to be with you, but definitely didn't want to be there anymore, so,
Made everybody leave.
yeah.
So for you guys out there, you want to land a good one, kick everybody out of a big party for her. It works
Little
every time.
party
Every time I've
little
done it,
party that works every
every
time.
time I've done it, it's worked once. All I needed to do was the one time,
Yep.
but it worked. So love at first sight, and everything
Mhm.
was just perfect, right?
Well, when I first saw you, I knew you were hot, but I also knew that you were a douche, and I kind of in like a messy relationship spot with somebody else, so I just wasn't not here for it. He was just super annoying. Like
What?
you're
What?
hot, you know I'm hot, kinda douchey. So by default, I was just like, nah, I think I'm good.
Wow.
But months went by and my drama passed on my own, and he came
In
up with
came the new drama.
well, yeah,
There was drama.
a lot of it. I don't even call it drama. It's something way more than something that words that rhymes with drama, like drama.
Trauma. Okay. Trauma.
But no, I had no idea about drugs, and I mean, I knew drugs were a thing. I knew about alcohol, people being addicted to drugs, being alcoholics and stuff. But it was like a couple months into our relationship that you told me that you were addicted to meth, and then I'm over there like, Google, what is methamphetamine? And I was like, oh, okay.
Right
And
on.
so yeah, I got thrown into that whole different world, and him and I are from two completely opposite worlds. Like they couldn't be any more different. So
But they worked somehow.
eventually, because we did all the drama trauma that we had for was it 9 months? Then we got pregnant. and then found out like April or something, and then when I was 4 months pregnant when I was 4 months pregnant, you got sentenced to 20 to 60 months in prison, right?
For, yeah, possession of meth. So,
And they took him away from me. I was 4 months pregnant, and then I ended up having we were there for 10 months,
10 months.
and I
Yeah.
had the babies by myself
Mhm.
in the hospital. So,
Yep. We talked about that a little bit with my mom. We talked about, when you first started to get with me and mom told you to go away.
I stayed here for your mom in Maryland
Mom said to run.
100%.
Run, get
Well,
away
and
from him,
then
and then you were pregnant, so then it was like, "Oh, no."
but, like, the part of it too, besides God kept me and helped me through all of that, I was besides your mom and your aunt, I was completely alone in a totally different world that I didn't even know existed. And without God, I and them, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But your mom and Marilyn are a huge Marilyn is his aunt, by the way, are a huge reason why I stuck around. Because I didn't know that these 2 amazing women had been going through what they were going through, and they had for years, and then I fell in love with them and fell in love with you somewhere in all of that. But, like, I was not only invested in him, and it wasn't one of those, like, "Fix him. I'm gonna fix him." Like, "Fix yourself." I just loved him, and I love your aunt and your mom a lot, and I still do. So, that kinda helped keep me around also.
There was no fixing me, so,
And that's not what I was trying to do either. I
yeah.
wasn't like, "I'm gonna fix this crackhead that's 6 years older than me," and,
Crackhead. Gee.
you know
Was, though. That was bad. That
and
was
he
really
didn't
bad.
have to tell me about it either. He didn't have to tell me that he was a drug addict. He could just but he did to a point, tell me in the beginning that he was addicted to drugs and then, like, a little while and then, like, he would never, like, full on admit that he was doing drugs again.
Yeah.
Like, even though I knew and after a while I pick up on it, but he would never, after that first time, say that he was doing stuff. So,
Yeah, it's like I told her, like, "I have a problem, but I'm good, like, I'm working on it, I'm cool."
I was
And
always,
then
"I'm working on it,"
yeah,
I'm okay. He's
yeah,
very good about what he said and how he said it to believe him.
yeah.
For a while, I did, but then I got to a point where I'm like, "You're stupid. Nice try. Whatever. See you later."
So, when we got together, your family did not approve?
Not at all.
No.
And parts of them still they're on the fence, but it's all good now. But they did 100%. I lived with your mom and your aunt, and, and then I got pregnant, which was just fuel to the fire.
Mhm.
And my dad, who used to be a Marine, he's really tough and what you would expect, I guess. When I called him and told him that you went to jail, because I was always open to my dad about everything going on, and
Mhm.
he was not in love with the whole situation that was Lance and what he did and us being in a relationship, but he always had my back,
He
and
supported his daughter.
yep, and when Lance went to prison, I called him in a meltdown, and he came to town. We went to McDonald's and talked, and he dropped me off. He's a big jokester, and he dropped me back off at his mom's house, and he's like, "Just do me a favor, don't get pregnant." Well, I was at that time, I was already pregnant, I just didn't know it, and
That was when I went to jail one of the nights, right? Or when was that? That wasn't when I went to prison. 'Cause you were Everyone knew you were pregnant then.
Yeah, 'cause we didn't find out I was pregnant until, like,
Yeah.
April, March, February. Yeah, but shortly after that, I was or already had been pregnant, but no, they did not approve. Some of them worse than others, but, totally understandable. I get it. Then I was a
Her mom
mess.
hated me.
Shout out to mom.
Mom. Mama
Yeah.
Sherry. Boy, she hated. She wanted nothing to do with me for a long time. Even after,
Years after.
yeah. I mean, it took, but her girl's first birthday. So I went to prison May 6th of 2014, which is also my sobriety date. So I went to
Sweet.
prison May 6th, 2014, and the girls were born August 26th, 2014, and Sherry wasn't even around me until August 26th or so, 2015.
Yep.
So it was literally the girl's first birthday party when she was around me. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, we've never really talked about it, but I feel like that's probably one of the times where she realized I wasn't so bad. When she
Well,
saw me
and
with the
the
kids
biggest thing
and
with her was, like I said, our lifestyles and where we come from were totally different, and parts of my family needed to see, like, my mom needed to see that you're you're done and, like, you can provide for her kid, you can take care of her grandkids and be the man that you need to be, and that doesn't happen overnight, and eventually, she saw it, and my mom's one tough, chick, so not really one to mess with, but
she's
she
scary. She's intimidating. That's where she gets it from her.
well,
The
she
being intimidating thing, being scary, being mean. You get that from your mom, being mean. You guys are mean.
she's meaner
You're
than me,
mean.
though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she they're good now.
We're
She's
cool now.
she's still mean, but
She's
good.
definitely still mean, but she loves me.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good, but most of the family stuff has worked itself out.
100% of the family that's met me loves me. Fair?
Yeah,
Fair. The ones that haven't met me they don't know me yet, so they don't love me.
his family likes me, I think.
Most of them.
I'm just happy, like I was telling you earlier about a lot of people in a relationship don't like their in-laws. Like, I like your dad. Your dad's cool.
Yeah.
Love Roger. But I'm so lucky that I have your mom.
Hmm.
Your mom is awesome. And if anybody doesn't like her, you're lying. You're just lying. That's
You're
it.
just wrong.
You're wrong and you're lying.
You're a liar and you're wrong.
Or you gave her a reason, not to. Which even then,
No, still.
like, she's still just like
Yeah.
very nice and yeah.
She's a
So
saint.
I got good moms. I got a good mom. I got a good bonus mom, and I got a good mother-in-law.
Yeah. Bonus mom being Marilyn. Or is
No,
that Melissa?
Melissa.
So Melissa's well, then you also have Marilyn.
Yeah, his aunt. She's awesome. Her and I
She's a mom.
her and I just lived together for a while too,
Yeah.
and he was out on the street. Marlene was with somebody, and it was just me and her. I took care of her, and she's awesome. She's the one, wasn't she, that told you when she first met me? Or did she even meet me then? I don't think she had met me yet, had she? When she told you that I was the one? She told you that
No,
I
she
think
had
she's
met
the
you.
one. Was she?
Hmm. She actually bought your first ring,
Yep.
first wedding ring. She she wanted you to stay
Would you
with
please
me,
stay?
so
She's so awesome.
she bought the ring. So
So I'll keep it forever because it means a lot. Because
Sears, I want to say Sears. You
no,
got
it's Penny.
JC Penny.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that.
But
So
shout out to those ladies because they're
we have good women in our lives here.
strong women.
Strong
Like,
women.
these women that we have around us are strong.
and you're one of them. You're strong.
I'm strong now.
You're strong. You
It's
were strong then. You were always strong.
if it was toughness or if it was
Stupidity. Oh,
my inability to just like give up. Like I just let
just
it
the
go.
TikTok came into my head. I'm just thinking with my. That's what it
I say I
was.
would get it from my grandma, who's also one of the toughest chicks I've ever met.
Oh,
So
so that's one of the things Mom and I talked a lot about. Not thinking with my, but the not giving up on people,
oh,
on addicts. You know.
and like our story, and I've had a lot of people ask me, like, because we have a lot of people that we know that have kids with an addict or are in love with somebody and then they ended up doing stuff or whatever, that have been hurt by somebody in addiction as a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse type thing. And they've come to me and said, like, how do you know that he loves you? How do you know when to leave or not to leave or if they're gonna change? Which everybody's different, every situation is different. And, you know, it is people think of people that are in addiction that they're just a lost cause, never gonna change. They've said that about you, I don't know how many times, you're never gonna, and some people you still haven't
Yeah.
changed, but you know what? Those
Mom and I
people
talked about that too.
don't know you, but I we had with him and why he did a lot of bad things to me in our relationship. Wasn't faithful. And he was hurtful, but he was never physically hurtful. But I had absolutely nothing to offer him except for my love. Like that's like some people in certain situations, like baby daddies or whatever, the woman has money and he comes back and then he goes away and then he comes back. Like I was just there, just loving him and being there for him. And there was times I tried to help you, but I wasn't like trying to fix you. Like I just tried to help you and be there for you because that was something that you were going through that you struggled with. And I wasn't, and I got invested with you and loved your family. So I wasn't just going to be like, peace out. You guys can figure it out. Like I had nothing but to offer you except for my love. And you needed nothing from me except for me.
Right. I think the love that we have, the love that we had, came from not. I mean, it came from a bad place. Like we were. It wasn't a good spot to be in, but I think that made it so. Like love was all either of us had for each other. Like I had nothing to offer
And,
you.
we
I didn't have
both,
anything.
like, in the midst of all of the chaos that was going on all the time, we had our moments where we, like, found each other and we were just there, just like us, like little things. Like, I come over one time and I think Bobby Schilling was there actually, and there was one other person, but they left. I don't know. And there might have been a few others. I don't know. We were sitting on the couch and I had just gotten a tattoo, my best friend's tattoo on my side, and I curled up next to you, or I was on my side. I was like curled up this way, and you were over here, and you kissed my tattoo, and you just like little moments like that where we just like everything else around us was just like didn't matter,
Hmm.
and we came together, and just little things I could tell throughout the first year of you doing what you were doing that were true and real that you did because you wanted to and because you loved me and stuff. While the other stuff was going on. Like most of the stuff I could tell was crap, or you'd be doing opposite of what you said, or feeling opposite way of what you said. But there was a lot of times that I got to a point where I could tell what was genuine and what was not, or believable. And stuff.
Let's talk about when we found out we were having twins.
Found out we covered. Well, I we were you were high as a kite doing something on a vehicle that we had, and I was doing stuff in the vehicle inside. We were cleaning it or something, and
Was it the 300?
no, it was that white.
Oh,
But we announced
the
her
Bonneville.
we announced our pregnancy on April 1st, and nobody believed us. But when we found out, February, we found out we were pregnant, and we went to I think Mary Lanning,
Yeah.
and they took us for an ultrasound. And I was laying there, and I wasn't even gonna let him go because he had been high, and he was high as crap. And I was
Mhm.
like, "You're not going unless you're not high." Then I was like, "No, I love you, and I don't want to keep this from you." And so he's there, high as crap, and laying there. She's doing the ultrasound, and she's like, "Oh, don't freak out."
Yeah, which what do you do when someone's looking at your unborn baby and tells you not to freak out? You freak out. That's what you do.
Yeah, and I was looking at the screen. I didn't take my eyes away from the
Freaking
screen
out.
at all, and I'm like, "Oh, look, there's two little
A-
circles."
And then
And
she said, "Don't freak out, but there's two in there." And me, I was thinking, yeah, two
like
hands,
2
2 feet,
feet,
2
like
eyes, 2 legs. Like there, yeah, there's supposed to be two. What would she's like, there's two whole babies in there. Two.
I thought he was gonna pass out.
Two
Like I looked at
babies.
him, and he's like,
Okay.
"Do I run? Do I cry? What do I do?" And I
Two
was like,
babies.
"Huh,
Huh.
right. 20 years old,
No shit.
overachieving from the right off the bat." And
Yeah.
I
Two
was like,
babies in
"Oh,
there.
cool. So
Mhm.
my life sucks." And now I have 2 babies. I'm not 21 yet. I turned 21 in like a month. And you're
Oh,
telling
it's
me that I
crazy.
got to a man who's addicted to drugs, he's never around, says he loves me, and now I'm having 2 of his babies.
Two
Let's
at one
go.
time. Yeah. So
Whoo, how much worse can it get? Oh, you
it
know.
got worse.
Oh, it
It
got
got
so
worse.
bad. There's so many scenarios in there that just left me at a party once. Which I know I went to a party, pregnant, whatever. We were. So we went to a party together. We weren't gonna stay very long, and then met up with a couple of the homies, and just a weird night. Your ex girlfriend drug you through a crowd of people to introduce herself to me like it mattered, and you met up with the right people at this party, and you're like, I'm going back to town,"
Didn't
and
it get busted? Didn't the party get like cops were supposed to be coming or something? I took off running.
yeah, I
Yeah.
had to
Yeah,
leave
cops came.
and
Cops came, I took off running to a cornfield and then
some
Gianna
friends.
picked me up.
And then I left with some friends and went back to their house, and I was there for hours and hours and hours. Didn't hear for you, or
Mhm.
and when I did, you're like, "Oh, I'll be there, I'll be there," and you never come to get me. I think at like 4 or 5 in the morning, I had him drop me off at home, and I was locked out, and I wasn't going to was dying or something, but I couldn't get a hold of Marilyn, who was inside, and I didn't want to scare her because she was on a lot of meds and she was really sick. So, talked to herself. A lot of times she thought people were there that weren't there. So, I was outside pregnant for hours. So, I don't even know how I got inside,
I don't know.
but just one
I
of
don't remember
those.
where I went. I
But
really don't remember. I'd tell you if I did.
yeah,
A lot of that stuff was just a blur, and there were some crazy times in there, but I wanted so badly to not do meth.
and there at the end,
Oh, it was
it was
so bad.
really bad.
It
It
was
was really
bad.
bad. Like you were passed out in the front yard
Yeah.
after yelling at your mom and Marilyn, and like 6'3" big guy passes out and busted the front screen door,
Busted the
and
screen door.
we
I'd
were all
pass out in the
hysterical.
bathroom.
He'd be in there for
I'd
4
go into the
hours one
bathroom
time.
and I'd be like, I'm gonna jump in the shower. I'd get in there and I'd lock the door and I'd do drugs until I passed out. And then I'd usually like just pass out in the bathroom for a few hours.
Well, and that one time you were in there for a few hours, and then you started yelling, freaking out.
Yeah.
You laying in your own vomit, you were puking,
Yep.
you were super sick, and I'm like, "I can't get in there." And he's, like,
Yeah.
freaking out for me, and he's like, come help me," and
I
I'm like,
needed help.
You locked me out, and I could not get into
Yeah.
you." And I didn't until you I don't even know what happened. It managed to get the door unlocked, and then I had to clean up all your puke, and you ended up making it to bed, and I just business as usual, cleaned up after you, and, and that was more towards the end, and then fall asleep with a bowl of ice cream on your chest. You fall asleep in the middle
That
of
was all I'd
eating.
eat when I did drugs. That's all I'd eat was that chocolate
Yeah.
Revel or whatever the heck it was. The vanilla ice cream with the chocolate swirls in it.
And you weren't gonna go to court,
Hmm.
and you were sitting there, and we were at court, and I was pregnant, and you're like, I'm just gonna run." And I'm like,
I was gonna
"No,
run,
you're not."
and then I went to court and we sat down with my lawyer because I had a possession charge that I had got. Oh, gosh, it was before we even knew each other, but I got a possession charge. I got caught with a pipe, but it wasn't. It is a long story. I'll tell the story sometime, but not now. But it wasn't a real possession charge, and they told me if I stayed out of trouble, that I'd never hear from them again. And then I didn't stay out of trouble. So then a year later, we were getting ready to go to karaoke, and the cops came, showed up, said they had a warrant for my arrest for possession of controlled substance, methamphetamine. I was like, that's crap. I've never been caught with it. And then I found out that it was from that night that I got the possession charge. That wasn't really a possession charge, but I got it. So that is what I was going to jail for, but that's what I had court for. So when we showed up for court, my lawyer, I had just gone to the emergency room the previous week, like twice the previous week, like one the day before court, and then like 3 days before that day, I'd gone, and it was for drugs for not an overdose. I was like coming down, or my body was shutting down. It
You were
just
having
wasn't working. I was
seizures,
having seizures and stuff caused by the drugs or
lack
lack of
thereof. It,
drug.
yeah.
Like when I'd stop doing the drugs, I would
Because he
start
was
having
trying there
seizures.
for the last couple weeks. You try really hard not
Yeah.
to go to the place you would go to,
Yep.
and then you started coming down, and it was really bad. And like you were having all these seizures, and you were sick. You went to the emergency room. I called the guy. And I was like, He's really bad. Like this isn't like normal withdrawal stuff. I just never." And he's like, "Well, I'm gonna have to tell you, you're just gonna have to give him more drugs." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "No, seriously, you're gonna have to give him more drugs. Put it in some Kool-Aid or something and give it to him." I'm like, like flabbergasted. Like, really? I absolutely not.
Yeah.
So we went though to
So,
court.
yeah, when I went to court, my lawyer was sitting there, and they were talking probation, the whole time. And then I was sitting there with my lawyer. He pulled out a little folder, and it had my pre-sentence investigation, where she talked about all the people that said I was still doing drugs, and then she had um, what was it, the two hospital visits were in the pre-sentence investigation from the previous couple days, and it was like, "Oh, I'm in trouble." And my lawyer was like, "Yeah, they're not going for probation anymore." I was like, "Okay." So I remember looking at Ashley, and I was like, "I'm gonna run. Like, I want to run. I want to
Chewing
leave.
your fingernails off.
I
You
wanted
were a
to
mess.
leave." She's like, "No, just stay. Get it over
I think
with.
if I
Get it
wasn't there,
done."
you would have.
I would have been gone.
You wouldn't even have made it
I wouldn't
there.
even have thought about it. I would have just been gone. I would have been gone. So So I went in and they did 20 to 60 months, which was the maximum for my first time possession. So
Your mom and I and Marilyn were sitting there, and
she had a big old
I had a big
belly
old
and
belly, and such.
Illingworth.
I was sitting there and heard that, and they said 20 to 60 months, and your mom looks at me, she goes, like her face, I will never forget her face. And she grabbed me, she goes, "Oh no." And then we stood up, and you stood up in this look of like, I've done it. I've actually done it. And I should have freaking ran.
Should have ran.
But you looked at me and you're like, "Love you." And you asked him, "Can I give her a hug?" And they're like, "Nope, let's go." And they just took you from me, and I think the judge did tell your mom years later that he'll never forget the look on that girl's face. Mine.
Mhm.
But and I so upset with that judge for so long, but I do know that
He saved my
prison was
life.
the people get mad because their kids go to prison or husbands go to prison for the stuff that they put themselves in.
Yeah.
And I was that way for a while, but it's like when you come out on the other end, it's like that was the best thing that could have ever happened to us is you going to prison. It
Yeah,
sucked.
it saved my
It
life,
sucked
though.
for a little bit, but it saved your life. And sometimes people need to go several times. You've gone several times,
I've gone a
but
few.
that last time stuck for the meth part
Yeah, oh,
of it.
yeah.
And I made it through the baby situation. I mean, I had moms, and your mom was an absolute dime, and we were good for a long time.
Mhm.
And there's a lot more stories in there that we can talk about
There's a
sometime.
lot, yeah, I mean, we for months, we had our relationship was through emails. E-notes is what they call
And
them.
letters. I got a letter almost
E-notes,
every day,
letters.
every
Yeah,
other day. At least.
yeah.
And
That's, like, the hardest relationship to be in is
having newborns
newborns.
and knowing you screwed up and you couldn't be there for them
Yep,
to be born. You couldn't be there to, and then as the person that's on the outside, knowing that the person on the inside is a good person, they just got caught up and they can't see their kids and they can't take care of you and they can't be with you. And then for him to hear me struggling on the phone or video chats with the girls, it was really hard too. So the whole situation's just
it
it
sucked,
sucked really bad.
sucked, but we got through it, came out alright,
Yep.
so
Just a
it
little bit of emotional damage.
emotional day. I hate TikTok. So, when I got out, mom was really scared for us. She thought I was gonna go back to what I was doing. How how did you feel? I don't think we've really talked about that. Like, what were your thoughts when I was coming home? Like, you were excited for me to be there, but were you scared too?
Honestly, like I've said before, I when you got out of prison, I was never worried about
No.
the drugs. I was worried about the women. And that's what hurt me the most the first year or so that we were together was the infidelity part of it. The drugs were hard, but I also knew the drugs did a lot of the talking, but the drugs also did a lot of the decisions that you made that hurt me. But um, that was a struggle for you. And I was afraid that when you got out, you wouldn't want me anymore. You would be doing those same hurtful things. That was my biggest problem. I never, I understand your mom's thought on thinking that, worried that I was going to leave and you were going to go back to doing it. But you had been doing so good in prison, and we could tell by the phone calls and the videos and the letters, like how good you were doing. So it made us even more nervous for you to screw up because like this guy's awesome. Like he's actually awesome. He thought he was awesome when he was on drugs, but he's like actually awesome. So we were just really worried because you know, showing us found God in prison, and that's
Yeah.
amazing. And God saved your life, prison saved your life, and I was just happy that you found God because I was just over here chilling, waiting for you to like join me. Like I tried a couple times, but you're like, nah,
Yeah,
no,
she
thank
tried
you.
before I went to prison. Mom and I talked about that too. Not about that, but we talked about, how I didn't have faith at all until I got locked up. But the way that worked, I grew up like pretty much atheist. My dad did not. My biological father did not believe in God. Probably still doesn't, but talks about it here and there. But yeah, I said earlier talking to mom that my stepdad bought me a Bible, and I took it to my dad's, and he was like, "Yeah, that's all stupid, like none of that's real." So as a kid, I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Science, team science, God's not real. That's stupid. That doesn't even make sense." So I had this huge barrier between me and God, in the form of what I thought was science and being smart and all this crap. And then when I got locked up, I remember calling you from the holding cell when they first took me
I
into the
remember
little
that too,
thing,
the sound, I can hear it.
and the echo of the room being in that little cell. And I told you, I said, we've got to trust God, whatever that is, whatever God
And
is,
I
we've
was
got to
like, "Wait,
trust God.
what?"
We're going to trust God. And I'm going to use this time to try to find God and to try to change. I'm going to be a better person. And
Oh,
then
so
when
you're like,
when they took me up to the like took me upstairs to the actual jail, they put me in a cell. And I remember the first book I found in there was like on my bed, like the top bunk where I was going to be. There was a book under there, and it was a holiday version of the New Testament. So that was the first book I found in the jail, and I was like, I guess I'm going to start reading this thing here, this
"And nothing
Bible
but
thing.
time."
And I would pray before I read it, and I didn't really know how to pray. I'd only like formally prayed one other time, and that was in treatment at St. Francis with a guy that I was going to have be my sponsor, and he kind of taught me how to pray. It was like the only time I'd ever got on my knees and prayed, and even though I didn't believe in what we were doing, it still was that was the example of how to do it. So when I was in jail, I would pray, and I'd be like, "Yo, God, like,
"What's happening?"
what's popping? What's popping?" And I'd be like, "I don't know how to do this, or if this is real, or what it is." I said,
And
"But
not knowing
if
that that's perfectly
if you're real and you're there, show me something in this book I'm gonna read." And then I would read, and I would write down. I wish I still had the paper from that, but I would write down Bible verse, like after I read something, I'd write down part of it. I'd write down like the name and verse and where to find it and stuff. And then as I would go further, I'd have all these written down. I started looking back at them and going back into the Bible and finding them again and rereading them. And a lot of the stuff that I was writing down was stuff about like worldly possessions and that kind of the money stuff in the Bible. And I was like, wow, that kind of spoke to me because I've always like when I would get clean, I'd stay clean for a few weeks, whatever, and I'd start working a regular job, and then I'd get a paycheck, and I'd be like, I could make that in a night. And so money would always get me to go back to it was always an excuse to go back to drugs or things like I
so
want
many
my stuff
things.
back. I want my clothes back. I want this back. I
And you
want that
would
back
obsess
over
over,
things.
and you
Bad.
did when you got out of prison too, like, "You need to hit up these people because I upset my
Yeah,
grandma,"
yeah,
just
I
like,
wanted to get
it
all
took
my
a
stuff
while
back.
before you
It
were
took a
like,
really long time.
"I'm not chasing after the material things anymore, like, I
Yeah,
gotta let that go."
and once I let all of that go, that's when God just gave us everything. It was like I finally started letting go of stuff. I was like, "I don't want that stuff anymore. I'm gonna move on from it." Mom and I talked about it, in terms of prayers, praying for God, asking for the right things, and once I was able to let go of all those wrong things, all the right things just started coming into our lives. So that was huge. But I remember when I started reading the Bible and I started learning about God, I remember one day calling. Was it a call or a visit? I think it was a call. I think I called you and we had like a 5-minute phone call. And I was like, hey, Jesus is real.
"Hey,
Like
did you know
God's
this?
real.
What the"
Because I started reading the Bible and I read like the Gospels and it was like, these are the same story. This is stupid. I read that already. But then it was explained to me that these are all told by different people, but they're the exact same, like they're the same thing. So I was like, wow, that's kind of amazing that their stories are the same. Like, so this is probably real. This has got to be real. And that's when I told her, I was like, hey, Jesus is real. Did you know that Jesus is real? And she's
no
like,
idea.
why do you think I didn't leave you? It's like, what? What do you mean? She's like, "I would have left you so many different
Mhm.
times if God didn't tell me to stay with you." And when she told me that, I was like, "Oh, oh, okay.
Huh.
Well,
Just
even
listening.
more of a reason for me to believe and to,
She's really
give
not
God a
stupid.
chance, you know?" So knowing that God was the reason she stayed with me, I was like, "Well, I guess I better, I better really, really try with God." And I did, and I'm so glad I did. Because it didn't fix me, it completely transformed me into someone different. Which I mean that there's still an old me that exists that could easily come back, and we found that out when I, started drinking again after 4 years, 5 year, 4 years sober, 4 years clean and sober.
Yeah.
It's 2018, wasn't it?
Totally unintentional, by the way. It
Hmm.
was just for some
It was
reason
our
you were like,
anniversary, and I convinced you that it would be okay.
and I was like, I guess, I
Yeah.
don't, I,
And it was, I mean,
and
it was
you weren't
fine
an
for what,
alcoholic. You
months?
were,
It was a few months that we were cool.
yeah,
We
and then it
drank here and there,
just
and it was like I
spiraled.
think it was more than a few months. I think it was like half a year or even closer to a year that
Yeah.
it was like, we drank on our anniversary, and then we'd do fights or something at the house or something, and we'd have a few drinks, and it was fine for a while until it wasn't. And then I tried to stop, and I couldn't stop. I wasn't able to stop. Or I'd stop for 30 days, and I'd be like, "Boom, I made it 30 days. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem."
And I
And then
think
it'd
I
go back
remember
to casual drinking
you
and
said, I'm going to try and go 30 days without drinking. And then you did it at one point. You went 30 days. And then literally the next day, you went out and bought a big old thing of vodka
wine,
and a
boxed
box of wine.
wine.
And I'm like,
Yeah, because I proved to myself that I didn't have a problem.
and honestly, you with the drinking and that, um, what we went through this last time was harder than the first when you were doing drugs, in my
Yeah,
opinion. The drug stuff, it was scary. There's a lot of weird stuff, and there's still a lot of stuff that, like, we can't even really talk about, but, um, it was, I think, because with the drinking is we did so good for so long. We had 3 kids, we had a house, you had a job, you're going to school, which you managed to maintain a 4.0 GPA and buy
yeah.
a house while being an alcoholic, um, but you were
Inactive alcoholism, not
mhm,
just, I'm
mhm,
always going to be an alcoholic, but
you're
I was
so good.
actually drinking actively. So
What was I saying?
you said it was harder,
Oh, yeah, it was hard
you
because we
know.
had kids in house and, like, a lot of stuff going on and happening to us, and I think mostly just having kids and, like, our relationship had developed so much and
Mhm.
the trust thing, and then, you know, stuff that came along with you drinking and it just had really
Which was over 2 years ago now,
Mhm.
and 2 years sober, and things have just changed so much since then, in a good way, all good ways. Dealing with your stuff, working through some of your stuff, and helping you grow, and there's a lot of
There's
stuff.
a lot of stuff that comes with
She'll do her whole own spin-off here at some point, and you guys all get to learn so much about her, what she's been through, and why it's so amazing for us to be where we're at. Because a lot of people know what we've gone through. A lot of people know like part of it, but that it's not much. That what people know is not much at
or
all.
it's their own version.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people around all the time,
Yeah.
like, so there are so many different, like
Stories.
yeah.
So yeah, we've both been through a lot. But one thing we always talk about is that helps us deal with what we've gone through, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, why would this happen to me? Why would God let this happen to me?" But we believe that we went through what we went through so that our kids don't ever have to go through it.
Or we can help
We can
them
help them
or
through
see
stuff
the things.
and help other people that might be going through it. So whether that's, domestic abuse or other sexual assault or any of it, abuse of any kind, where we've kind of been through it and we want to help people in any way we can.
It's like with me and the stuff that I've gone through, I do not want that for my kids. I don't, you know, I have I've been through the domestic and the sexual part of it, and I have 2 girls that I don't want to go through that part of it, and I have a son who I don't want to be that man that takes away those things from a woman, and I wanna help people, but I can't help people until I help myself, and there's a long time where I didn't know what to do, or
There's still
I
times where
just
we
stopped,
don't.
or I just started open and open openly
There it
talking
is.
about my traumas. Like, I just like, one day I was like, I'm gonna stop sugarcoating it. I'm gonna stop pretending like it doesn't exist. Like, I'm gonna talk about it. Talk about it with my parents. Talk about it with my dad in a roundabout way because it makes him uncomfy.
Uncomfortable.
Makes him uncomfy. But I being honest about it and trying to work through it and talk about like when I do one of these on my own.
Because
People
there's a
can
lot of this that we haven't talked about. We've had some
There's
nights,
so many books
some
we could
really,
write on
really late
us.
nights where we stayed up all night talking. And, I know there's going to be a lot more of those nights where you get to tell me uh, more of what happened to you. And
There's a reason I didn't too, 'cause I was always afraid that if I told him my traumas, he was gonna look at me different. And when I did tell him one story from one of those situations, he was just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I thought I was ready for this conversation. Turns out I'm a little bothered by it. But and every time, I mean, it doesn't sit right when we have the conversations, but
we grow
it's not
from it
really.
every time. We haven't had a conversation where it was honest and open, and afterwards we were like, "Man, I wish we didn't have that talk." That's never happened. We've always learned from it and grown, and there's always been a lot of healing involved with them. So that's always been good communication, right?
I have a hard time letting things go. And still, from stuff in 2 years ago, it just most of the time I'm cool, and some days I'm like, "Not one." Because I do this
Yeah,
date, this year, this time when I
yeah,
found this, but we've grown a lot. We got
yeah,
little ones that we have to do right by. Like that's it. We have no other choice but to get our crap together.
yeah.
And I just recently started getting my crap together, and we do.
Yeah, we have these big talks where it's like we kind of wake each other up by just being like, "Hey, look, girls are 7, Noah's 5. We got
We're
like
like,
we got like 10 years left with the girls in our house, 13 left with Noah in the
and
house, and it's just like we got a lot to do.
there's some conversations we've always been open to it with our kids about. We didn't hide that Daddy went to jail. We've never hid
No,
that Daddy has these problems. We make age appropriate,
yeah,
but
as an alcoholic, as a drug addict, and they always say, "Oh, I'm never gonna do drugs. I don't want to do drugs." Just drinking energy drinks. The kids will ask me for a drink, and no, you can't have a drink. It's for adults. And Lily will be, so that's an adult beverage. And I'm like, yeah, it's a beverage for adults. And they're like, wow, you can't have those because they know I can't drink. They know I can't have alcohol.
I stand by that 100%. With like my situations, our girls are 7, so they're around the age that my stuff started happening. Certain situations, and I there's probably a conversation to be had. It's just he's ready to have it. They ask questions. They know bad stuff happened to mommy. They wanna know what it is. I I don't think I'm quite ready, but it's not really whether I'm ready to have that conversation or not because we're not gonna keep our kids in the dark about stuff. We're
Right.
not gonna pretend like monsters aren't real.
Bad
Monsters
things,
are,
yeah. Like, bad things don't
and,
happen.
um, all adults are safe or, this I'm not gonna keep them in a bubble and then they find stuff out from other people or they find themselves in a situation and they're like, "What? What do I do?"
Yeah.
You know?
Like a situation where they feel like they can't say no, you know? We don't want
And
that
it
for
us
them.
by us being honest and open with them about stuff, I like to think we'll come back one day and they us being honest, they'll be honest, and I want them to be able to, for both situations, be able to recognize signs of this. Like, all right, from
Yeah,
my dad,
wrong. This is bad.
or I remember mom talking about something like this.
Yeah.
So, um, you know, so, and a lot of people might not agree with talking to our kids about your situations and my situation in particular. It's a little touchy, no pun intended there, but
Weird joke to me.
but
Oh.
this is what trauma does to you.
Yeah.
Dark humor,
Mhm.
my traumas. It makes you stronger. No, it makes me have a really bad sense of humor.
Yeah,
Laugh at your
but it's cool.
I'm
She's fine. She's fine. She's
He's
fine.
fine.
She's fine.
I
Everything's
struggle with
good.
it still, but I'm most
We talk a lot to each other.
it took a long time for you to well, for one, it took a long time for him to understand what my problem was. I told him
Yeah,
about
we're running out of time here, but yeah, there's so much more to
oh,
this. So much more. So we're gonna have to do this again soon because we gotta talk. There's so much we didn't talk about, but we're like literally. It, if this goes over an hour, get in trouble. So we
Matthew or
got
what?
2.5 minutes. Yeah, Matt's gonna be mad at
Okay,
me if I get
Matthew.
over an hour. So it makes it harder for posting and all that stuff that Matt
Yes.
does. All the things
Happy
that Matt takes care of.
Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. So mom and I did this one little bit of advice to anyone that is going through a loved one is in your position. If you were, what would you tell someone out there that's got someone like me in their life that is just a big pile of crap and doesn't seem to get it? What would you tell them?
Well, for me, I trust my gut 100%. If your gut
Hmm.
is telling you isn't right, it's not worth it, that's it. Done. My gut didn't tell me that. It said that this situation, I don't know, it's just I trust my gut 100% all the time. Um, I would say get an outlook somewhere, talk to somebody that, even like me, if you're not sure, like I find somebody that you can talk to about your situation and trust your gut and stay true to who you are for sure and what you believe in. Don't be making yourself think that you're cool with things you're not cool with, and
Yeah.
because in the long run, it's going to catch up with you and it's not going to feel good.
So go with your gut.
Go with your gut, talk to somebody that
Talk to
you can
someone. Get
relate to.
support. Find help for yourself,
And that
for
sounds
them.
really like, cliche 'cause there's a lot
But
of
it's
things, but
true.
it's like,
It's
you
true.
get
It's
help,
very
call
true.
this number, but like,
There's tons of places that
but
want to help. I mean, there's anonymous places, there's online places, there's hotlines and stuff, and those things are all there for a reason. So we got about 38 seconds. We're gonna wrap this up
mhm,
now. Uh, Huge happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to you for being the most phenomenal mother kids could ever have asked for. They didn't ask for, but
they
you're
got.
you're amazing.
It's what they
You're
got.
phenomenal. You're an amazing mom. You're an amazing wife. I wouldn't be right here without you. So God used you to do this, and thank you for that. So I love you. We'll see you guys next. Stay classy.